Using CETRIS, cement-bonded particle boards can be quick and inexpensive. Without using wet processes, they create new floor designs and improve the acoustic and thermal insulation properties of already existing floor structures. A floating floor means a floor that is separated from the ceiling and wall structure by elastic material. The floor is placed in a bath of the material and essentially floats. The company, CETRIS, offers 6 different options of light floating floors, varying by type and thickness of the insulation board and operational parameters. In the case of the IZOCET floor systems, wood fiber insulating plates are used that excel in their acoustic parameters and mechanical solidity. The insulation boards are laid on the ceiling construction. The base must be leveled, dry, and with sufficient load capacity. The insulation boards are laid all the way to the vertical structures and without dilatation gaps in the surface. When using 2 layers of insulation boards, the second layer is placed over the first one with a minimal overlap of 200 millimeters. The PolyZet floor system works with 1 or a maximum of 2 layers of insulation board, made of elastified expanded polystyrene EPS at a maximum thickness of 60 millimeters. Laying CETRIS boards begins with a whole board opposite the door. The boards are laid tightly with the cross joint. Around the vertical structures, walls or columns, a 15 millimeter wide dilatation joint is created. For IZOCET and PolyZet floor systems, a CETRIS board thickness of 12 millimeters is used with a standard dimension of 625 by 1250 millimeters without edge treatment. Before laying, CETRIS boards must be acclimatized for at least 48 hours at relative humidity of up to 70%. Air conditioning adapts the humidity of the manufactured boards to a balanced moisture point during use, and thereby effectively reduces the problem of later shape changes. The second layer of CETRIS boards is laid crosswise over the first layer, with an overlap of about 1/2 of the width of the board, that is to say, 312 millimeters. The interaction between the 2 layers of CETRIS is secured with screws. For easier assembly, the upper layer of the CETRIS floorboards is pre-drilled to a depth of 12 millimeters. The diameter of the pre-drilled holes is 4 millimeters. The position of screws is determined on the basis of static tests of dry floor structures. The average number of connecting screws is 30 pieces per square meter. Immediately after laying, it's necessary to connect the CETRIS boards by 4.2 millimeter self-tapping screws with lengths of 35 millimeters with countersunk heads. The screws are inserted into pre-drilled holes. In case of cutting the boards, it's necessary to place the screws 25 to 50 millimeters from the edge. The maximum spacing between fasteners is 300 millimeters. The screws must not pass through the joints of the lower CETRIS board layer. The average number of coupling screws per meter squared is 28 pieces. For screwing, we recommend using an electric screwdriver. During the actual connection, it's necessary to load CETRIS boards locally at the fixing spot, best with the weight of the worker. This prevents lifting of the upper layer of the boards and possible clogging of the joints with drilled sawdust. The boards are screwed starting from the center. The floor, once screwed together, is ready immediately to be walked upon. And you can apply the top layer right away. When installing large floor areas, we recommend gradual installation of the insulation boards after each dilatation field. This reduces the danger of damaging of the insulation board by worker movement. After laying the floor, and particularly in wintertime, CETRIS boards may experience a slight lifting of the free edges particularly by the walls and in the corners, due to drying and gradual acclimatization. This phenomenon can be eliminated by anchoring the CETRIS boards locally into the base, either the decking or the ceiling. Using unsuitable sub-base materials for leveling the base under the floor, suitable types have a sub-base with aggregate fractions of between 1 and 4 millimeters. A high layer of sub-base exceeding the recommended value of 40 millimeters. Incorporation of insulation boards with low stiffness, unfit for compositions of light floating floors. Due to the higher compressibility, a subsequent consequence may lead to the deformation of the entire floor. Missing dilation along the walls and partitions in widths of 15 millimeters. Dilation along the perimeter filled with insulating tape prevents the transmission of noise. Improper laying and screwing. Cement-bonded particle boards are laid tightly. For screwing of 2 layers of CETRIS boards, it's necessary to put screws also in the surface of the boards.